Adolf Hitler reviewing German troops in Poland, September 1939. In September 1939, the Allies, namely Great Britain, France, and Poland, were together superior in industrial resources, population, and military manpower, but the German military, or Wehrmacht, because of its armament, training, doctrine, discipline, and fighting spirit, was the most efficient and effective fighting force for its size in the world. The index of military strength in September 1939 was the number of divisions that each nation could mobilize against Germany's 100 infantry divisions and 6 armored divisions. France had 90 infantry divisions in metropolitan France, Great Britain had 10 infantry divisions, and Poland had 30 infantry divisions, 12 cavalry brigades, and 1 armored brigade. Poland had also 30 reserve infantry divisions, but these could not be mobilized quickly. A division contained from 12,000 to 25,000 men. It was the qualitative superiority of the German infantry divisions and the number of their armored divisions that made the difference in 1939. A firepower of a German infantry division far exceeded that of a French, British, or Polish division, and the standard German division included 442 machine guns, 135 mortars, 72 anti-tank guns, and 24 howitzers. Allied divisions had a firepower only slightly greater than that of World War I. Germany had 6 armored divisions in September 1939, and the Allies, though they had a large number of tanks, had no armored divisions at that time. The 6 armored, or Panzer, divisions of the Wehrmacht comprised some 2,400 tanks, and though Germany would subsequently expand its tank forces during the first years of the war, it was not the number of tanks that Germany had. The Allies had almost as many in September 1939, but the fact of their being organized into divisions and operated as such that was to prove decisive. In accordance with the doctrines of General Heinz Guderian, the German tanks were used in mass formations in conjunction with motorized artillery to punch holes in the enemy line and to isolate segments of the enemy, which were then surrounded and captured by motorized German infantry divisions, while the tanks ranged forward to repeat the process. Deep drives into enemy territory by panzer divisions were thus followed by mechanized infantry and foot soldiers. These tactics were supported by dive bombers that attacked and disrupted the enemy's supply and communications lines and spread panic and confusion in its rear, thus further paralyzing its defensive capabilities. Mechanization was the key to the German Blitzkrieg or lightning war, so named because of the unprecedented speed and mobility that were its salient characteristics. Tested and well-trained in maneuvers, the German panzer divisions constituted a force with no equal in Europe. The German Air Force, or Luftwaffe, was also the best force of its kind in 1939. It was a ground cooperation force designed to support the army, but its planes were superior to nearly all Allied types. In the rearmament period from 1935 to 1939, the production of German combat aircraft steadily mounted. The table shows the production of German aircraft by years. The standardization of engines and airframes gave the Luftwaffe an advantage over its opponents. Germany had an operational force of 1,000 fighters and 10 50 bombers in September 1939. The Allies actually had more planes in 1939 than Germany did, but their strength was made up of many different types, some of them obsolescent. The corresponding table shows the number of first-line military aircraft available to the Allies at the outbreak of war. Great Britain, which was held back by delays in the rearmament program, was producing 1 modern fighter in 1939, the Hurricane, a higher performance fighter. The Spitfire was just coming into production and did not enter the air war in numbers until 1940. In the air, the technology of war had also changed radically between 1918 and 1939. Military aircraft had increased in size, speed, and range, and for operations at sea, aircraft carriers were developed that were capable of accompanying the fastest surface ships. Among the new types of planes developed was the dive bomber, a plane designed for accurate low-altitude bombing of enemy strong points as part of the tank-plane infantry combination. Fast low-wing monoplane fighters were developed in all countries. These aircraft were essentially flying platforms for 8 to 12 machine guns installed in the wings. Light and medium bombers were also developed that could be used for the strategic bombardment of cities and military strongpoints. The threat of bomber attacks on both military and civilian targets led directly to the development of radar in England. Radar made it possible to determine the location, the distance, and the height and speed of a distant aircraft no matter what the weather was. By December 1938, there were 5 radar stations established on the coast of England and 15 additional stations were begun. So when war came in September 1939, Great Britain had a warning chain of radar stations that could tell when hostile planes were approaching.